I am looking forward to presentation and conversation of folks we have here. So everybody, welcome. Welcome to this. Oops, let me get my right piece here. Welcome to this session organized by the Earth Care team at First Presbyterian Church of Urbana. As a Earth Care congregation within the Presbyterian Church, we pledge that peace and justice is God's plan for all creation, and the earth and all creation are God's, and God calls us to be careful, humble stewards of this earth and to protect and restore it for its own sake and for the future use and enjoyment of the human family. And as God offers all people the special gift of peace through Jesus Christ, and through Christ reconciles all to God, we are called to deal justly with one another and the earth. And so today, I'm very happy to welcome Stacy Clementz and Chelsea Prahl. They are going to, we asked them to talk about communicating to the next generation about earth care and their efforts in Champaign County in environmental education. Stacy is an education program specialist at the Champaign County Forest Preserve District, where she has been working for 17 years educating area youth. And Chelsea Prahl is the environmental education coordinator at the Anita Purvis Nature Center with the Urbana Park District, where she has worked the last 7 years connecting folks of all ages with the natural world around them. And so Stacy and Chelsea, we welcome you and we thank you very much for taking time today. So I guess without further ado, I will hand the floor and the mic over to you.
Thank you, Jamie. And thank you for having us come out today to talk with you guys. Again, my name is Stacy, and 17 years. I actually started out at the Urbana Park District and was working both places until I got full-time at the Forest Preserve District. And as part of the Forest Preserve District, one of my main duties is teaching school programs for preschool through 12th grade. And then in the summertime, I'm in charge of the environmental summer camps. But I also get to teach college students every now and then, and also teachers through teacher workshops. And so I do a little bit of everything. And my favorite part is actually partnering with other organizations. So I'm going to give the floor to Chelsea now to introduce herself.
Yeah, just to echo what Stacy said, really excited to be here. Again, my name is Chelsea Prahl. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at the Anita Purvis Nature Center, where I'm at now. I do a lot of the same programming as Stacy, youth education programs within schools. I do a lot of teen programming in summer camps in the summer, and I also coordinate our community garden programs, including partnering for our CU Solidarity Gardens here in Champaign, Urbana. And so this is something that means a lot to me, not just because of my professional career, but, personally, I grew up needing a lot more of this kind of education. Canned food kid, didn't learn about recycling and things until nearly college and things like that. So really providing opportunity for youth to be able to learn and experience these things is really a huge passion for me, because I do realize how important it is. So thank you for allowing us to share our experiences with you all.
So today we're going to tag team this presentation, and please ask questions at any time if you want to put them in the chat, or just shout them out. We'll stop and answer any questions you may have. But we wanted to first start out by pointing out a book by David Sobel. It's called Beyond Ecophobia, and I'll put the information for this book in the chat in a little bit. But David Sobel, he's a environmental educator, a father, and a professor at Antioch University. He actually travels all over the place sharing his research and information. But here's a quote from him. "If we want children to flourish, to become truly empowered, let us allow them to love the earth before we ask them to save it." And in the book, he proposes 3 stages of development. And ideally, you would start with early elementary, preschool age children, and you would start with empathy. So you would take them out into nature and marvel at the colors, the smells, the textures, just get them to be one with nature. The next stage would be going into the late elementary, early middle school, and that's the exploration stage. And that's where you can dive into more in-depth topics like decomposition and life cycles and things like that. And then finally, once they have all of that base knowledge and that connection to nature, then you can go into the social action phase, which if you're doing it in that timeline would be late middle school, high school age. And because you can't ask somebody that has no care for something to actually like do something for them. And so we need to create that connection with nature. And unfortunately, not all kids get this experience. And so the way we look at the stages of development is we have to evaluate our audience. And a lot of times with our school programs, we don't realize until they actually come out to do our programs what background knowledge they have, what they're comfortable, and do they feel comfortable even being out at the forest preserve. And I have an example of a very unique situation. I was teaching a group of 16 to 20-year-olds from the Cunningham Children's Home, and all of the students were from Chicago, and they were not used to being out in nature like the Forest Preserve, and were freaked out about everything. Like the bugs were making noises, they were scared to like walk through the grass, and I knew right away, like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the basics, do empathy, like get them connected to nature. And I noticed they were really into music. They were rapping and making up kind of different songs and stuff. And so I showed them how to make music with grass, pieces of grass blades, as well as the acorn caps. And by the end of the program, by the end of the 2-hour program, they were picking up nature and putting it up to their face, which they previously were scared to even walk on it. And we're making music and rapping about nature and not screaming anymore, which is great. And so in that aspect, that group, even though they were young adults, I could not ask them to actually do any social action phase. I just needed them to be comfortable being out in nature. And so David Sobel's book shows those different stages and gives you examples of how to do this. And so if you have a chance, it's a very short book. It's only like 40 pages, but it has some great information in it. So Chelsea has another book she'd like to share with you.
Yes, so there is another book. Well, first I kind of want to jump back because David Sobel is amazing, and I encourage you to look into a lot of the things that he has written. Specifically, that kind of bounces off what Stacy said was he has identified these play motifs that organically happen when children play outside, regardless of socioeconomic status, ethnicity, the ecosystem that they are in. And those play motifs kind of tie into those empathy, exploration, and social action. So I'm just going to name a few here. Those principles are like adventure, fantasy, and imagination. These are things that when children are outside that they are just going to do organically, regardless of if we are programming that or not. Animal allies, where they were relating to animals, along with animal empathy, maps and paths. And now when I say these things, I'm sure you can kind of see with either the kids you've worked with or you yourself as a kid being like, yes, I did do these things. I understand what we're saying. Creating those special places and creating small worlds. And then lastly is kind of hunting and gathering. So these are things that we see happen already organically, which, when we're planning for summer camps and things, we train our staff to be like, look for these. You're going to see it happen. Kind of use those that are already happening and hone in on those, depending, some are better for other age groups, but that's another thing I encourage you to look at, and I can put in the chat a link to that as well. And those are, again, David Sobel's play motifs. There's 7 principles of children and nature. So But also, like Stacy was saying, I do have another book that I will admittedly haven't got through the entire thing. It's something that our executive director, Tim Bartlett at the district, wanted us to look into, and but really found a key component in there that stood out to our discussion today. And the book is called Saving Us, A Climate Scientist's Case for Hope and Healing in a Divided World. And it is written by, let me see, I wrote the artist or the author here. Catherine, pardon me, Catherine Hayhoe, Hayhoe, Catherine Hayhoe. So specifically the section of this book I want to talk about is where they reference a science teacher, Kristen Milks, who engages her students in climate change in two effective ways. That's Catherine with a K, sorry. Two effective ways. First, she lets them ask the questions. She says, what do you need to know about climate change? And then together over time, they answer those questions as a group and through different outlets and opportunities. So allowing them to say, what do you need, or asking, what do you need to know about climate change, and spark exactly what is maybe more confusing in their heads, more challenging concepts for them to grasp and things like that. And then find a way to navigate through those questions and find answers. And so second, she gives the students the opportunity to carry out the same experiments that climate scientists do, whether that's analyzing ice cores they build in Pringles cans, or graphing data collected from pond core sediments, modeling temperature rise in different greenhouse using a computer simulation. So with this, and allowing these students to perform similar experiments on a smaller level, this empowers the youth, and they are much more likely to find climate data trustworthy. So through these, when she was doing these with her students, she surveyed the parents, which another thing I found interesting is that these students had a major influence on their adults' perception on climate change as well, especially those that have a more conservative look on the issue. So by empowering these youth, they were able to take this home and have these critical discussions with their parents as well. And the reason I like to bring this up is because this ties a lot into the Urbana Park District's CARES plan. So I'm going to share the screen with you real quick here while I show you the Urbana Park District's CARES plan. Oh. Try it one more time. There we go. All right, can you all see that okay?
Yes, thanks, Stacy.
Awesome. So CARES stands for Climate, Action, Resilience, Education, and Sustainability. I will put in the chat a link to our website that will take you to some more information about this, and for you to be able to see this plan in its entirety. But for this discussion, we're really just going to focus on the communicating climate action pillar here. So a little bit about the plan. The Urbana Park District is committed to addressing climate change at a local level. So the CARES plan takes advantage of different approaches that'll improve water and air quality, mitigate risks to people and property, preserve the local landscape, reduce energy and waste, and lead to greater public awareness, and many other ways to benefit Urbana residents and surrounding communities for years to come. And so, like I said, you can, I will send you a link to this so you can navigate through the plan in its entirety, but I will point out the 3 pillars here. Again, we're going to talk more about the communicating climate action pillar, but we also have 2 others: protecting and strengthening our natural environment and conserving resources. So we're going to go a little bit further through some goals here, and I want to make sure I can see you also, and I'm going to allow you all to be able to read this on your own time, but just kind of flip through when you see me referencing goals. This is how those goals are set up. We have goals for each pillar here. But again, I want to be able to open the discussion up. And so I'm going to stop sharing our screen for now so I can see you all and you all can see me here. All right. So I'm going to focus a little bit on our goals that are, again, under our communicating climate action. And so one of our goals, objectives, is to increase kids' knowledge and experiences with reducing waste. So with this, we have all of our summer camps who work about teaching lessons on composting and also how to pack a more low waste or waste-free lunches and things like that. We also, work with climate change education in local schools. This is something Stacy and I work together a lot on. Some things that we have already implemented, but other things that we are excited about in the future. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we like to integrate climate lessons into what we do. So we work with the Urbana School District, or I work with the Urbana School District here at the Park District with their SPLASH program, Students Playing and Learning After School Hours. It's a great program that we are privileged to be a part of. And so through that, we have students visit the Nature Center. So instead of just having a climate change strictly focused class, we have things that are still, animal encounters where they meet our education wildlife, fall by the fireside where they just spend time outdoors. And through those lessons, we sprinkle in and integrate some climate education in there. And so again, like Stacy said, that's all going to depend on the audience too. Even though we know they're middle schoolers, when they come here, we got to figure out where they're at, on that scale. Is this something where we're creating empathy still, or are they ready to take action? And so we like to leave ourselves open to be able to sprinkle that kind of climate education into what we are already teaching. And that it goes for our student programs as well. When schools come in, again, we might not be focused strictly on climate change. We may be looking at, let's say, just signs of fall and counting squirrels and things, but we're going to create empathy in those students about those squirrels, some animal empathy. And so even though these things aren't directly saying, hey, we have a climate change school tour that you can come for, it's integrated into those already existing lessons, if that makes sense. And then further down, we get a little bit older, talking about our more of our youth and teen programs. We have at the Park District, our teen programs, which we call FRESH programs, which stands for Future Responsible Environmental Stewardship Heroes. And so these FRESH programs came about when I went into middle schools, and I was like, what do you think? We went to middle school English classes, and I say, what do you think when you think of your community? When you think of your, not just natural, but Urbana Champaign at large, your community. And they made a word cloud, which actually you can see behind me here, made a word cloud. And with that word cloud, we picked out and created our acronym, Future Responsible Environmental Stewardship Heroes. So we have a Camp Fresh, which is a 3-week camp program where teens really get to know their community inside and out. And this really just opens their eyes to seeing all the moving parts in their community. And again, opportunities for us to sprinkle in climate education into that, those lessons and into those experiences and opportunities. And then we also have teen citizen science opportunities, which are our Fresh Crew, where teens come weekly through 10 weeks in the summer, and they go out into our natural areas and perform citizen science projects, whether that's removing honeysuckle or getting into our solidarity gardens and harvesting and planting food for food insecurities in their community. But these are more hands-on approaches that we utilize with teens in our summer programs. And then another last goal that I'm really going to cover is talking about promoting youth artistic creativity in addressing climate change. Everything is, taking a scientific approach and taking an action approach is absolutely important, but we don't want to forget that children have different ways of expressing themselves, and including artistic ways as well. So we have, during our arts camp and during our nature camp, opportunities for these campers, youth campers, to publicly display in celebrations different art pieces that's related to climate change and their relationship they have with the earth. So that's my spiel on the CARES plan. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the link to our green initiatives, which is where you can open the CARES plan and read it in its entirety. And if you have any questions about it, you can always feel free to reach out once you get a chance to look at it after our discussion today. But that's what I had to say about CARES plan. I can open it up for any questions now, or Stacy, I can let you talk about what the Forest Preserve
Any
District.
questions specifically to the CARES plan before we move on?
Yes. So is this all through the schools? Is it a cooperation, between the city or the county and the schools, or how do you find these kids to work with?
It's a little bit of both. It's a lot of different connections we've made across the years. So some, yes, will be with the schools. That's with our Splash program. That is with Urbana School District, but we also branch out to other community partners that we work with. Here at the district, we value our community partners very, very much. And so we also work with the Dream House over in on campus area. And we also work with the Neighborhood Connection Center, things like that. So we have a lot of different connections that we like to open up those opportunities for. And a lot of that is through our valuable community partners that we have here at the district.
Thank you.
This CARES plan, and you'll see if you look at the page 1 or page 2 there, you'll see more people that were involved, including Stacy, but also Scott Tess, the Sustainability and Resilience Officer with the City of Urbana, Morgan White, who is the Facilities and Service Associate Director at the university. So we have a lot of other partners. There's many more on that list too. So you can see just even how integral those partners were in creating this plan as well.
I'm really impressed with how much, and I'm from Champaign, but how much the city of Urbana is doing to, that's several salaries they're spending to for this. It's just very impressive.
Well, thank you, Chelsea. There'll definitely be time for more questions at the end or comments as well. Now, the Forest Preserve District is a couple steps behind the Urbana Park District. The Urbana Park District is amazing. The Forest Preserve District is also amazing, but we are taking a slightly different approach. We have a sustainability committee very similar to the Green Team at Urbana Park District. And we have a representative from a lot of the different departments throughout the 7 forest preserves. And we've been doing a lot of stuff internally to start off with. And one of those big accomplishments right now is we've been working with Ameren, which powers Lake of the Woods and River Bend Forest Preserve. And we have acquired certificates. So all of our electricity for those 2 forest preserves are renewable energy sources, which I believe they're wind energy. And one of our goals is to actually decrease our climate emissions, which, funnily enough, we only said 5% in the next, I think it was 5 years. And just by moving our electricity to renewables, the electricity went down 33% with our carbon emissions. And so I was like, wow. So we're moving internally to do things like that. But one of the education initiatives that we will be starting next year, at the beginning of next year, is actually taken from Purdue University's What Can I Do About Climate Change? And they have a 4-step process. And the first one is we're going to be doing a PR push on what is climate change, like exactly what our definition of it is, causes of climate change. It's bad, but there's still hope that we can do something about it. And just basically putting out facts. We're going to have a section of our website that is dedicated to this with reputable sources that people can go to. And then the next stage is knowing your impact. So as an individual, what is your carbon footprint? But also as the Forest Preserve District, what is our carbon footprint? Because, organizations and companies do have a huge impact on the climate. And so we're going to talk about knowing your impact. And then the next stage is talking about it. So what are the solutions? What is the Forest Preserve District doing? What can you do as an individual? As well as discussing it, opening this up and like having candid conversations with family and friends about climate change and making it a common topic that we actually bring up. And one of the partners that we want to work with is C4, which Chelsea and I are part of, which is, I'm gonna so not remember the name of it. It's Chelsea, help me. I can't even remember.
It's the Champaign County Climate Coalition.
Thank you. C4, that's all I can remember. C4, we love our acronyms, by the way. We are a bunch of different organizations that come together and talk about climate change, as well as educate the public. The city of Urbana Park District, U of I, several different U of I departments. There's just a lot of different organizations that come together. Master Naturalist, East Central Master Naturalist is a part of it. And thank you, Chelsea. She provided a Facebook link. We are putting together a website. We'll be debuting soon. But it's a great way. We do green drinks, which is a monthly thing that you can come together, and we have a topic that we talk about and related to, nature, climate change, things like that. But it's all about discussion and getting the word out, like what can we do, and let's do it, actually do actionable things. So that's the third step. And then finally, the last step is engage now. And that's telling people that your voice does matter. Work with community partners to make a difference. Voting does make changes. And we are a governmental agency, so we're going to kind of skim over that one. But active citizenship is very important if we want these changes to happen. We need the community's voice to make a change in the bigger audiences. And so this is something that we're working on right now that will be debuting sometime next year, or sometime early next year. And so keep your eyes on that. As well, we're putting together a report on everything that the Forest Preserve District is doing sustainability-wise, and that will be out in probably January for the public to see. But the most exciting part, and once again, I go back to partnerships. If you get anything from this, is partnerships is huge. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to work with people that are already doing amazing things. Your audience grows that way, and it's a lot less work for you as well. And you get to meet some amazing people. One thing that the Forest Preserve District is going to be doing, along with partnering with Urbana Park District, as well as the Ag in the Classroom, which is part of the Farm Bureau, is creating a teacher workshop on climate change. And we hope to be doing that late spring, early summer. And because teachers are frightened to teach it in class, even though it's part of the next generation science standards, there's just so much political angst and stuff around it. Like, teachers just don't know how to bring it up in their class. And so we're going to provide the opportunity to teach them, this is how you do it. This is how you do it without bringing politics in it, fact-based, great activities, very hands-on. And so we are going to be working on that here soon to have that out, and as well as working with the regional offices of education. But also something cool that's coming from that is something that Chelsea is working on right now. So Chelsea, do you want to take this next part?
Yeah, so to complement, continuing that conversation we have with educators through that workshop, we look to not just be like, good luck, but also provide them with those resources to make sure that succeeds in their classroom. And so we are developing some loan kits that will not only have those lessons written out for them, but also materials that are age appropriate and that cover multiple age groups, and that allow those lessons to turn to very hands-on in that classroom. So like I spoke about earlier, we're still developing them, but things and the ideas are of like those ice cores and Pringle cans and things like that. We would be providing those resources for them in the form of a loan kit. So even after they have a conversation with us about how to broach that subject in their classroom, we can still support them down the road through these kits of saying, and that also alleviates a barrier of financial barriers, as well as that barrier of just maybe, again, still being a little nervous to broach the subject. And all of our loan kits that we provide, both the Forest Preserve District and the Park District, are standards-based, if I'm correct. We standards-based. And so again, we're taking that barrier of trying to adhere to those learning standards, because we have already taken that work upon ourselves and created these lessons for them. So very excited to be able to put together these kits to support teachers, and also teachers got a lot going on, so much going on as well. So to be able to just help navigate that conversation, navigate those lessons in their classrooms, as well as finding ways to integrate those lessons throughout everything else they're doing, their math, their reading, again, like I mentioned earlier, their arts, not just taking a science-based approach to it, but a multi-pronged approach to navigating climate change in their classroom.
Yeah. And we really hope that these loan kits, they'll actually be one at each of our organizations. So there'll be multiple opportunities. So more than one teacher or school can check out this loan kit at the same time. And yeah, and so there'll probably be more that come out of it. Anytime Chelsea and Sarah Caper and I get together, we get a lot of really cool ideas and new and fresh ideas to provide opportunities in Champaign County. So what we want to know from you guys is, tell us a little bit about your team and what can we do to help you? Do you like how we turned that around on you? Didn't see that coming, did you?
You want me to pivot back? David, I'm going to throw this off to David. Do you have any immediate thoughts or ideas, or David Bullock, or even David Oliver Holder?
One thing you could do for us is just ask us to do things, and things we can do. It's an older church, and so not everybody can go hike 24 miles. But things that we can do to help out. If you have anything with children where you need whatever, some supervision or just nice people along, I think that we'd be willing to think about that for sure. We're always looking for things to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just go off that. Yeah. What are the volunteer opportunities? Because as I said, we have a limited number of youth here in our church, and but we all have, most of have children or grandchildren or are connected to kids, or I'm a volunteer, continue to be a volunteer leader with our scout troop. And so what are the volunteer opportunities with the Urbana Park District or the Champaign County Forest Preserve District?
Yeah, well, for the Champaign County Forest Preserve District, there is a lot of volunteer opportunities, but specifically for youth. One thing I am always looking for is volunteers to help with our school programs. And so my classroom is outdoors. I hardly ever teach inside. I don't do well teaching inside because my voice is very loud. It's frightening to everybody, including myself. And so I teach outdoors, and it's actually so much easier for me to entertain kids outside because there's so much to see and do. But I also need help with volunteers, especially when we go on hikes, is to have somebody there in the back because we always have stragglers or kids that, are just too nervous to be up front, to help relay the information that I'm sharing, or just to keep them engaged and assist with activities and things like that. So those are our school program volunteers. We also have public programs that we do, and those are various ages to help with those. And those are more evening and weekend programs, while school programs are obviously during the weekday. And then during summer camp, we always need adult volunteers to help us with our summer camps and just be there to help corral the kids because they can be a little crazy in the summertime. Just help the kids engage in the activities they're doing. And we break those kids up into 3 age groups. We have the Tiny Tots, which are our preschoolers. We have our early explorers, which are kindergarten through 2nd grade. And then our young naturalists, which are 3rd through 5th grade. And so we match volunteers up with the leader in that group. And my idea for volunteers is that you're not necessarily leading the group, you're just assisting. If you ever feel like you want to lead, I will definitely give you that opportunity, but I don't want to throw 30 kids at you and go, here you go. Yeah, nobody wants that. And so that is what we're looking for with youth, working with their youth.
How many kids you're working with?
Well, our typical for school programs, it could be just a classroom, 22 to 25, all the way up to 30. But there are days where I have 120 like 6th graders out, because if you have middle school, you have to accommodate at least half the section. So Jefferson Middle School, I'll see 120 one day and 120 the other day. And we split them up into 5 groups and rotate them through activities. And that day I need lots of volunteers just for my own sanity. But I always let my volunteers know. I give them a whole list and go, what are you comfortable helping with? So there's no surprises that age, how many kids are going to be there approximately, things like that.
Well, Stacy, if you send me that list or whatever of things going on in the year, just ask,
Okay.
especially if you're short, just ask and we see, if we can fill in. And just send me, David Bullock, or send it to somebody and they'll get it to me. A list of that, and I think we can help out some.
Awesome.
And that's one thing I like to say that we do really well. Our church has been an Earth Care congregation since the beginning of the initiative in the Presbyterian Church around the country, going back to 2011. We are involved in the community in a variety of ways, including in helping with marathon and raising money for the Prairie Rivers Network is one of the things that we do. But the major thing that you see our face to the community is with our seminars. So having some of our folks help with the education, with these teaching opportunities fits really well with who we are and what we do well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
As for the Park District, we do have a volunteer coordinator, Jacob Johnston. And I can provide that information to you all, his information to you all. And the way we go about volunteers is we have so many across the districts because we have multiple departments between aquatics, environmental, our planning and operations, or our natural areas folks, and community programs. That we have a lot of different opportunities there. So our process is more of you reach out, you sign up to be a volunteer, and then you tell us your interests and what things you would be interested in doing. And when those opportunities arise, Jacob would reach out and say, hey, we have this opportunity for you. And so that's a district-wide look at our volunteer opportunities. But if we're honing specifically into our environmental programs, a lot of them are similar to Stacy's. We utilize volunteers for our school programs, which are classrooms of up to 25, 30 students coming in, as well as the summer teen program, the Fresh Crew, in which I spoke about. They are volunteers themselves, but we also love allowing other folks to come work beside them as they're volunteering. So we like to mix that volunteer group a little bit. And so in the summertime, we have our Fresh Crew, our teens out there. We open that up to volunteer for folks to come in and work with them as well as they go cut down honeysuckle, or like I said, maybe my favorite was they went and planted 400 sweet potato slips in our solidarity gardens. And then they came back 5 weeks later and were able to see how much those had grown and harvest the vegetables near them and things. And so it's really great. And so having help with that, especially folks that know more about gardening. And so it's really nice for them to have that opportunity to have those questions or to ask questions and have someone there to support them. We also here at the Nature Center ask for if we have volunteers interested to just come in on their own time and help us interpret some of our field station exhibits and things. So if you had a block of time on Saturday where you are open, and you can hang out and hear with our nature center staff. And then when folks come in, the public come into our field station, you can help interpret some of those items for them, some additional interpretation on some animal wildlife, or maybe our exhibit that's specifically about our turtles or our wings. We would give you beforehand a rundown of all those things and allow you to get a little more inside information. That way you can relay, help reinforce our message and relay that in there. So if that's something you're interested in, that's another opportunity. That's for all of the public, but we do get a lot of youth that roll into our exhibit hall, into our area there. And then we do have some like one-off opportunities when things are just come up and we need some help for there. Specifically, I'm working with Booker T. Washington to do, they're going to help us create some exhibits. So I have third through fifth graders that are going to help us create exhibits. And for my staffing at the moment, with not having as many programs, I don't have as many actual hired on staff. So I'm relying heavily on volunteers during that time. And so that's coming up starting in January on Fridays from 9 to 11 in the mornings. And that's, like I said, with third through fifth graders, where we're going to talk to them about what do you want to make an exhibit about, and then we're going to do the research on it and the construction for it, everything from the computer research to drilling the screws into the exhibit itself. It's a whole process, a 9-week process. So some things that are like that will pop up, and we'll need some support for those. And then directly after that 9 weeks, we're working with the kindergarten through second grade to create some art exhibits to go out into our parks. So just some of those one-off things that, again, if you're already on that list through Jacob and through, it looks like someone posted in the chat, thank you very much. If you're already on that list, and when those opportunities come about, I'm going to say, Jacob, I need someone to help with this. And he'll go through that list and say, all right, here are the folks interested in environmental support, and then reach out to you all. So you can be in that hub. And also, if you have multiple interests across the district, you'll be receiving opportunities from other departments. So,
Jamie, can I ask you, since you have the link and all that, can you make sure that this goes on the agenda of our meeting we're going to have soon, so that we think about how to encourage people to volunteer and things like that?
So just allow us, to think out loud a little bit. Yeah, this is something definitely we can put together and have that information, and as part of sort of everybody. I mean, one of the big things that always comes up, right, is like with these climate crisis or whatever environmental tragedy is out there at the moment. It's always so big to get our heads wrapped around, and we think about as individuals, right? We ignore it, or we say it's too big to solve, or is what can we do, right? And here at the church, we have, we've done the carbon footprint calculator and are asking our congregation to look as individuals, and then there are these pieces like, yes, that we can contribute, and I think the environmental education piece and contributing that way will also help and get us involved and keep us involved. So I appreciate the opportunities, Chelsea and Stacy, and yes, David, I'll do my best to put something together to put out in front of the congregation.
Well, you don't have to put everything together, but please just make sure we talk about it.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Well, and if you ever need somebody to come to your meetings as well, I know Chelsea and I would be happy to sit in and answer any questions as well. So you don't have to just try to remember everything that was said. And, I was just, when you just said, Jamie, that with the news and everything that keeps coming up, I think that has put a downfall on people's mood about helping the environment. I think we're all shutting down, and because it's all doom and gloom. And but I feel like what you guys are doing is exactly what we should all be doing, and working together and just having this conversation. And I think that's the first step in having that conversation, and then seeing little steps, the baby steps. We're not going to change the world. That's not going to happen. And we shouldn't think that we can do that, but we can work towards a better future, especially in our area. And having these conversations also helps, get you out of that hole of doom and gloom, and motivates you. Just as I was telling you, anytime Chelsea and I get together, we come up with a lot of great ideas, actionable ideas that we follow through on. And that's exactly what you guys are going to be doing. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah,
Yes, one thing you just triggered an idea, Chelsea. So with C4, and for Earth Day next year, we're going to be doing Earth Day for everyone, and it's going to be at Meadowbrook Park, and we're going to have a lot of different organizations come out and have tables throughout Meadowbrook Park. And I feel like you guys would be a good component to have something out. I have no idea what we're going to do for the Forest Preserve District yet, but it might be like an interactive, like do this, like pot a little plant to take home with you or something. I have no idea. But keep your eyes out for that. We'll definitely send you more information, as well as hopefully having you guys be a part of C4 and having a voice in everything that's going on with that. So we'll share that with you as well.
Oh, that would be great, Stacy. Yeah, and we're, right, many of us connected with different as volunteers and as different environmental organizations and faith in place. And so, yeah, we'll definitely keep our eyes open for that. I just and as we draw down our time here, I want to latch on to one of the things that both of you said, and I know is an important concept also is, right, especially with kids or even at any age, is just to get us out into nature, into these places, and not even just out in, not whether it's a park or the Forest Preserve District, or even just cherishing the trees in Urbana, or even our own local environment, because we will protect what we know and we will cherish what we love, right? If it's not gloom and doom, right, to begin with, then as we get to know these spaces, or our local places, and we will work, all of us, whether that's with our donation dollars or tax dollars, or how we vote or volunteer or make our voices heard, right? I think that's so the work that you're doing, and it makes me feel good to hear all of the work that you're doing to instill that love of nature into our youth and all of us at Indian. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to commend you both too, because I've been involved with both the Park District and the Forest Preserve District, and I know some of the amazing things you do, and the contact that you have with the young kids is great.
Thank you, Beth.
It's great. It's great to keep our neighbors in Champaign inspired and let them know that they don't need to give up. We can pull together and make progress together.
Well, our problem is you guys have all the commercial tax money. And so, it's pretty easy for you to go out there and pay for programs.
What other questions or comments do others have for Chelsea and Stacy?
Well, I'm especially intrigued to hear about the Earth Day possibility at Meadowbrook. Stacy and Chelsea, one of the things our church does every year at Easter is do a sunrise service at Meadowbrook. And so Easter this year is going to be April 17th. So it'll start off Earth Week that week. So in one way, we're already going to be there, and there has to be ways that we can build on that and help out with that project. That sounds great.
Can quickly share with you, it is not quite out. It's coming up in our program guide that if you're in the Champaign-Urbana area, it'll be getting to your mailbox here soon. But I do have the online version that was sent to the mail, and I can share that real quick. Can you all see? And this is the Earth Day for Everyone blurb in that. And so you can see that Saturday, April 23rd from 1 to 4 is the date we are looking at, and then with a rain date of the next day.
Wonderful.
Sounds great.
Right.
Yeah,
so we
right
get it.
now, the farthest we've gotten on the actual getting organizations together is we have a Google Doc that we're signing up. Like you can go as an organization and sign up, just so we have your contact information. So we'll definitely be in touch with you guys with more information.
And like I said, flip through that program guide when it comes in your mailbox, and you'll find that on there along with a lot of other great programs that we have.
Right. Well, does anybody, I'm sure we can continue to keep talking, but I'm glad we made this connection. I know Stacy and I have worked a little bit together in the past and have known each other. And
I get a lot of my employees from Jamie Ellis, so.
And Chelsea, I'm so glad to meet you. If we've met in person and I don't remember, I apologize, but I'm so glad to connect with you today.
Same, the feeling is mutual. I really appreciate the opportunity. Just to echo everything Stacy said about partnerships and really valuing a community together and working together to reach our goals, especially when it comes to something as important and as immediately needed as climate change. So again, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Yay, and to you.
Thank you.
anything else, David Bullock?
No, I'm okay if you wanted to close.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there in the interest of time, and that the sun is shining, so
That's right.
get outside.
Get outside in nature. Yay.
Yay.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, thanks
Bye.
again, everybody.
Thank you, Chelsea and Stacy,
Goodbye.
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.